Okay, looks like we are live. So I'm going to go ahead and just start talking a little bit about what we're going to do today. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about something I learned about recently called vertical slices. Now, I learned this from the Frankie Smile Show, and that is linked in the description. I highly recommend his design course that he did. It was really excellent. All of his content is good. But I really wanted to zero in on specifically vertical slices. So this is sort of a game within a game. It's in some ways a pitch if you were in the industry where you make a game, a tiny game that shows off all your features, that looks really polished and really good, and hopefully that sells the idea of your game so that you can make the larger game. Now, since we're talking about usually individual developers working in RPG Maker, your vertical slice could be your whole game. And so today we are going to look at a vertical slice that I made in about 3 days that I think looks pretty good and could lead to a larger project. We're going to talk about how it works and how long it took to make and kind of techniques, and maybe that'll be interesting. I don't know if anyone will be joining us, which is fine. I just thought that the live recording would be a good way to do this so I can have it down. And if there's an interest, I might go ahead and make a series or something like that after this. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So to begin with, we are in RPG Maker MZ. Hey Garrett, how are you? We are in RPG Maker MZ today. This is the newest version of RPG Maker and the one that we will be using because at this point it is so much more advanced as an editor than MV, and also MV has sort of stopped working in Linux altogether. So yeah, that's good, Garrett. Let's see. I appreciate you dropping into the stream. I'm kind of recording this. We're going to be talking about vertical slices, so games within games a little bit. All right, so jumping right in. So we're in MZ. We are going to, if this was sort of a full game, we would have like a big world map, something maybe like this. But I decided just to do kind of a single island of a larger project to zero in on. So for my vertical slice, this island is all that exists. And we're actually going to zoom in even further. Really, this one town is all that exists. So we'll take a moment to talk about town design in a tile-based game. All right, so there's lots of things you'll see if you look at videos or tutorials. Some of them are having vertical space, so having depth, so cliffs, differentiating from water, using water features to cut through grass, making sure that when you'll hear is that your inn should be right in front of your entrance, because often players are going to run straight from the door to the inn. Trying to have at least a couple of things that are not like shops, right? Imply that people actually might live here. Obviously, that no village is this small, but you want to at least give the idea. So we have 1, 2, 3 non-shop houses, and then the elder's house. We also can't actually enter this house or this house. There's just the idea that they exist. So this one actually functions as a wall, and this one functions as set decoration. Including additional set direction can definitely be your friend. Okay, so other things I want to point out. Try to make sure that there are only controlled entrances and exits, because if you don't, then players will assume that they could walk off, say, right here, and you'd have to, one way or the other, create exits and entrances to all your maps. So this way, we have a fence that creates one entrance, and we have a side entrance in case this game were to get bigger. We could have, say, like soldiers attacking and you escape out the back, that kind of thing. Next up, assets, right? So obviously these are not the default assets. This is part of the 8-bit all-inclusive or all-in-one pack. It's about $40 last I checked. It goes on sale on Steam for about 15 to 20% off at least twice a year. It's a great pack if you like NES style graphics. One of the biggest things is that because it's such simple pixel art, you can easily edit it or make your own. So that bush is an edit, the trees are edits, these little flowers are edits, the 3 barrels are edits, and I'm not really an artist, but because of the simplicity of the style, You can pretty easily do it. Next up, when you're making your map, start usually with like all one color. So in this case, it was grass. Then create your vertical space, so your cliffs. Then create your water. Then create your structures and your fences or forest to create the hem in. Then your other buildings. And then clutter. Clutter is stuff like the fire, the chair, flowers, grass, signs. These give some life and are visually interesting. One trick is if you zoom all the way in and the other, this is roughly the view of the player. So you don't want to have space at this level of zoom that is not visually interesting. Because if there's like, say, a bunch of grass and nothing else, it won't be visually interesting to your player either. So you're often going to be zoomed out. I usually am too when actually working on a map. Just remember you need to zoom in to see what the player is going to see. Okay, so you build your map. This is Primo Village. Next up, don't forget to, one way or the other, get music, and if you need a battle back. Now, I don't have them set automatically. I got them going differently. But even for a vertical slice, remember this is supposed to be a complete tiny game. So music, NPCs, battle backs, all those things that feel like polish or the end, you complete them for this little section because you're making a whole game within a game. So how do we do this? Well, I started with this house. This was the first thing I made towards actually completing a complete small game. It is my starting location, and it has everything I need to start telling my story. So, when the game starts, we have an auto-run event called Init, short for initiation, and it turns on our music, which this is a free song by Bit by Bit Sound on itch.io. Excellent composer, and as far as I can tell, a pretty good guy. His name is Bert, so definitely recommend him. Then we have two common events, game setup and start cutscene, and then just a switch that turns the event off, so it only runs once. Now, the reason I put my setup stuff in common events is because when you're testing, you're going to move where your player starts, and you can, by doing this, you can always have your game setup stuff happen no matter what map it starts on. If you made all of the pieces I'm about to show you in this event, you have to copy this event every page as you tested. Instead, we put it in our common events, so it's always available. In game setup, we bind some common events to buttons using a plugin. We turn on some switches, we give the player some potions and some gold, and then we run our little script for an opening. Now, I recommend that you keep your opening as simple as possible. It can be really tempting to play a movie when the game starts, and if you're doing machinima, have at it. But most players, they need to do something. They need to play the game some before they're really going to buy into your story. As a couple of different people I've seen over the years who talk about design say, your story is important, but so is your gameplay. They have to support one another. Okay, we have our little bit of story, and then we let the player pick a name. I almost never use the loop option. Instead, I use labels. It's just a preference, but you're welcome to have done this in a loop. But the way I do it is I create a label, name, character, and a label done. They try to make their name. We ask if that's okay. If they say yes, it goes to done. If not, it goes back to name character. So they have to make sure that they okay the name. All right, great. So there's our setup. This starts our game, and we'll end up with our player. I'm going to show it off here in a little while. That's fine. They'll come over. They can leave if they want, but there'll be nothing to do. So eventually, hopefully, they'll come talk to our quest giver. Our quest giver goes through some dialogue. We see a little bit of, cutscene magic. And then we turn off a self switch. We turn on our common events to end our cutscene, which again, you're going to use it over and over again. Anytime you're going to use something over and over again, make it a common event. You'll thank yourself later. And we have him join the party. Okay. Event ID 3. We actually do not need this because I've changed things. So we will go ahead and delete that. Okay. once he joins the party, if you leave, he's going to give you instructions to go out of into the village and then ultimately go into the item shop. So because we're building this vertical slice, we want to make sure that all of our shops look good. So what I did here is I actually made the item shop last, so that I would make sure everything else looked good. So I made my equipment shop. This is our equipment shop. I made the inn and the pub, and then I finally went back and made the item shop. Now notice that each shop has people in it. Particularly the pub has extra people in it. The inn has an extra person in it. Well, again, this is about making it seem lived in. With our vertical slice, we're trying to make a game that is complete, that is playable. And yeah. So once I made the shops here, I zeroed in on my item shop because that is the goal. And my item shop has a couple of event pages. One of them for if you left early, one of them for if you started the story, and one of them for if you've already talked to her. 1 and 3 are the same, essentially. 2, however, is a small cutscene. We get to see all that. It ends with increasing the story progress, which allows it to be 3 and also allows us to go and talk to our elder. Well, okay, our elder's in the big house. Once again, before I did the big house last for this section, because you always do the section you're going to do something in last. At least I like to do it that way so I don't forget to polish. So my tent, I made my tent a little bit wider than the default. I added some things in it. There's a collectible. I also took this chance to go through the village and add in collectibles. I've got one here. I've got one down here. I made sure that there was collectibles in some of the houses. And then I went and made my big house. And I've got an extra NPC to talk to. I've got things to look at. Again, if we zoom in, you'll see what the player sees, and that looks fairly visually interesting. Then finally, you can actually talk to the elder to get the next quest. So if you come early, he just says a single line. If you come with the switches and variables set correctly, you get a small cutscene, and he turns on the tutorial switch. Then if you talk to him again while both the story progress is the same and tutorial, you get another little message. If you come back after the story progress has increased and the tutorial is off, you get the end of the quest. And then we have just this, I hope your adventure is a grand one, which is our point where we could create more content if we wanted. We can make this game bigger if we want to. Now, he, of course, told us to go to the dungeon. Now, this actually comes directly from Frankie Smile, so I want to give him credit. He suggested that when you're making a vertical slice, if it's a town, for instance, then your town should have the dungeon in it because it's a complete world in one little space. So I decided that the dungeon was going to be down the well. I made that little well sprite through some pretty, I think, clever edits of base assets. And then we go down the well. We immediately see the music's going to change, that we're in a different kind of space, and we can start exploring our dungeon. There are tiles every so often that give tutorial advice. These are just touch tiles. When you touch them, you get the information. We learn how to save. We learn how to do one kind of puzzle. We learn how to do another kind of puzzle. We learn about random encounters. And of course, we learn about finding random stuff, treasure in dungeons, and we fight our boss. And our boss turns off our tutorial switch and increases our progress to 3, effectively allowing us to go back to Lord Kingston and end the game. So that is a complete vertical slice. We have characters, we have NPCs, we have treasure, we have towns, we have a town, we have a dungeon, we have a boss. The only thing else I do want to mention real quickly is when I do the playthrough here in a minute, you're going to see that the tutorial says that if you hit the level that the dungeon is designed for, monsters will start running away. The way I did that was if you have, so like take our well slime. If the party level, average level, is greater than 2, they start trying to escape. And I have this for each monster who is in, except for the boss, who is in this little dungeon. So this is a great way to keep well, at least not prevent, but discourage over leveling. Essentially, monsters don't want to fight a party that has met the power level of the dungeon, so they run. You could have all kinds of reasons story-wise to do this, but it helps prevent grinding. So, might be something you consider. It's really easy to do, and I think it adds a lot. All right, last thing. Well, not the last thing. We're going to go ahead and go to Prima Village. I did notice I do want to actually turn on an autoplay because, no, actually I don't. I apologize. What I want to do is go over to my house and look at the music that is played. There we go. It's Returning Home by Bit Sound. We're going to go out here to our world map, Prima Village, to our well, first floor, and we're going to put here that it's going to also turn on that background music so that when you leave it, you don't have the dungeon background music playing. So bit by bit, you can get this effect in the editor by simply putting a folder in, say, the background music folder, and it'll give you this like organized tree, which is extremely nice. All right, returning home. All right, so there we go. That will turn that on. All right, so the last thing we're going to do before a playthrough is we're going to actually look at the deployment, right? A lot of times that gets skipped. So to deploy, you save your game, go to File, Deployment, choose your platform, and you might want to do all of them. We're going to do Windows for now. I'm going to click this Exclude Unused Files. Now, you don't have to do this. If you don't do this, all the files for the entire game will be included. But that's going to make your game a lot bigger than it needs to be, and I don't generally recommend it. But the reason you might do it is it's simpler. If you click this, it's not going to include any files that are like exclusive to plugins because the base engine doesn't think about plugins. So what you have to do is exclude the unused files and then go and add them back in. And the only way that you're really going to know how to add them back in is to play your distributed package, not from here, but the actual distributed package you made, which I will go and open and see if there are any errors. And I happen to know that at first there will be an error, so I'm just going to show that right away, because I don't think it'll be fixed automatically. Maybe it did. Oh, there it is. Okay, so failed to load MSG image _0. I knew it was going to do this because that is only used by a plugin, and so it didn't think about it. But this is easy to fix. So you want to make sure you're playing your deployed game several times before you actually send it out into the world, because if they get this, they can't fix it, but you can. So to fix it, all you have to do is open up another tab, go to wherever your game is, fake slice, go to where the image is. So in this case, it's in System, and it's right there. And then copy it into the exact same place in the deploy game. And now, when we run it, I'm part of it. Hopefully that's not too loud. It looks like it is. 1 moment. We'll just tell you without the sound. I apologize about that. It's just too loud. Okay. So, and now, when we hit new game, it's going to give us our game. By the way, just in case you don't know, you can hit F4 inside of the game to make it full screen. That's all I did there, was hit F4. So we'll do our quick playthrough. You can kind of see what we built. So we have a young woman who dreams of being a hero. And we get names. Now, by default, you have this kind of system where you use Z to, say, add an S. I don't love it, so I have a plugin installed that allows you to just type. So you can just type on your keyboard. The only downside is, if you do it that way, you still have to go down to OK and hit Enter. Okay, is that okay? If we say no, it's going to take us right back there. If we say yes, it's going to show us our controls. This is another plugin I use. Actually, this is one of the plugins that comes with RPG Maker MC, called Extra Window. We have our black bars now, which make it look a little more cinematic because we are in a cutscene. you can go and talk to, and when you, this is the action icon plugin by Galv. We talk. Oh, good. I see you're awake. I thought you would never wake up. Nah, I'm just kidding. Seriously, though, we do need a theme to get this game off on the right track. Why don't we go see if they sell themes at the item shop? Our main character is kind of unimpressed by that idea, but Jack joins the party. If we go into the menu, we can see that we now have Jack. All right. We go out and we can kind of explore. Now, if you want your player to explore, you need to make it worth their while as early as possible. So, okay, we have something here. We found a buckler. That's actually incorrect. That's funny. That's what it's supposed to do. So there's a little bug. We found one. Then if we are looking around, I happen to know where these are, but hopefully they would be looking around, clicking on stuff. If you see, there's no black line there. You can get out into the water. And if you look around in the water, very Final Fantasy V, there's a spot. Oh, there's supposed to be a spot right there where you can get a thing. That's interesting. Another bug. Okay. Well, we're supposed to visit the item shop. So let's see. We go to the item shop. And our herbalist says a theme. What a curious request. How about our fate is our test? And then, but I don't believe in fate. I'm more of a fate is what you make kind of gal. Good. That will make it an even better theme. Ugh, if you say so. Thanks, I guess. Not at all, dear. Take care now. Our fate is a test. That sounds all right. So I guess the next thing is an inciting event. I know. Let's go talk to the village elder in the big house. He will probably have something for us to do. Once again, a little frustrated, but okay. If you talk to her again, we just go right into the shop. Okay. We can leave. We can go anywhere else. For instance, we don't have to go to the equipment shop, but we can. Let me just get the basics. And notice how everything is polished. Everything looks nice and complete. This is a viable basic RPG. We talk to this person. Nothing like a cherry pie and coffee to celebrate the day. Living on an elf island isn't too bad. I especially like those elven cheeses. Much better than the mouse bait I grew up with, I can tell you. Have you noticed in old SNES RPGs, the piano player was always a monster or a beast man or something? Well, we aim to please in this game, so here I am. So we have a couple of jokes, and we have a complete feeling world. There's stuff to do here. Back to our house. If we go to the tent, we can go inside and look around. We can take the mana tincture. Oh, that's a big bug. I can't move. Well, we found actually a game-breaking bug there. So we'll go ahead and cancel out of there. So, again, we played the deployed version so that we could look to make sure that it was actually going to load everything, which it did. We're going to go over here and we're going to look at some of these bugs real fast. So let's see here. Parallel, buckler, as it should be. That's interesting because it actually ran down here. This is a lockup. I wonder what did that. Okay. May have been an error in the deployment, which is very interesting. Okay. We're going to go look in the tent and see what happened here. Seeing that would prevent us from moving, so it might be a tile set issue. So we'll go look. Let's see, what is the tile set here? Inside, okay. And it's right there. So let's go take a look. Tile set inside. We'll start with the bedroll. You cannot walk on the bedroll. Well, there's the problem right there. You can now walk on the bedroll, and just to make sure, you can walk on the floor. So that'll be fixed. We'll save that. And we'll go ahead and play it from in here this time. And we'll just skip through here. Okay. Okay. Go through here. Again, we can show you. You can step out, of course. Come back in. Go to the item shop. And same thing you just saw. Some motoring through it. Okay. And go through the secret there. Did it again. How strange. I have no idea what's causing that. I'll have to figure that out on, off camera. And this is where we can cheat. And once again, fascinating. But you don't have to cheat to go up where you can see a visual difference. Then we can go in here. This is new, so we can talk. It's impossible to get a good piece of beef on this blasted island. Sometimes where it's nothing but fish and pickles around here. You can look around, and you see how, what I was saying earlier, where it's fairly zoomed in for the player. So you've got to think in terms of what they can see. They worry about so many things. Hello, Elder. Angela and I are going to be protagonists in a party-based RPG. Neat, huh? Indeed, that sounds lovely, kids. I'm guessing you're here for an open mission or something? You got it, but in one, Pops. What Jack means is there any way we can help the village out today? Well, our water supply has recently been infested by rats, and I fear disease if it continues. Please go down the well and deal with the rat lord. We will leave him. So we get our... If we talk to him again, once you go the rat lord, come and talk to me again. So, alright, we know where we're supposed to go. Our dungeon is here in town as part of our vertical slice. Climb down the well. Don't mind if we do. The music changes. We're in a different environment. We find chests. We can go ahead and equip these. Looking much better. Okay. Use your wits to solve puzzles and dungeons. Leave the room and return to reset the puzzle. Goddess statues refresh the party's HP MP and prompts to save in the main menu. Be wary, such statues are usually markers of impending... That's the wrong word. Impending is what it's supposed to say. So it asks you to save. If you leave and come back, everything is as it is, but let's say you mess with the puzzle, and you leave, and you come back. There we go, everything resets. We figure out our puzzle, which those are made using touch events where the rock moves away from the player with a direction fix on. Get our chest. Get our sword. Looking pretty good. And we see switches. You can press the switches, but nothing happens. You go to the door is locked. Ah. Now the way we did this was we actually used regions. So, let me hit F4. I'll show you that here, because it's a little bit more complicated. And just a quick look would probably be helpful. So, what we did here is these are region coded to number 8. And then in the stone, we have the same movement as the other stones, where it moves away from the player when you touch it. But if the object is region ID equals 8, then play the switch sound, turn the switch on, and then add to a variable called result. If the result has hit 2, i.e. 2 switches are triggered, then unlock the door. So having the stone check what region it's on is the key here. And we set that with just the basic get location info, object region ID, and then variable set to the rocks X and Y. So that's how that works. Let me know if you'd like me to do a dungeon puzzle video. I'd love to do one. They're fun and could be helpful for some folks. Okay, so door is unlocked. You can now open it. Another tutorial thing. There are monsters in this room. There's a 1 in 40 chance of running into a monster each step. Be careful when you're ready to talk to the boss monster to complete the tutorial. Just you can set that to anything you want. 1 in 40 is what I find works well for small dungeons. Dungeon floors have an expected average party level, or APL. Once your party reaches the APL, the monsters in the area will try to escape. So we're going to do a couple of quick fights. Sometimes items are hidden in pots, barrels, and other ephemera. Be sure to always explore your surroundings. Looks like there might be a bug there. Oh, you can find, it looks like an endless number of those. Now we gotta fix that. Okay, our battle system right now is very basic. We don't have anything. We're level 1. Okay, we'll go ahead and use potion on Jack. Luck up on Angela. Okay. The infinite ion stones, that's very funny. But that's alright. We will fix that. Ion stone since we have it. Now we want to get to level 2 before we fight the boss, because that is the dungeon level. Level 2. And Angela learned Thunder. And importantly, we know that what the APL is after we get into a fight after hitting it, because now the monsters are going to run. Now I know what it is, so I'm just going to start the boss fight. But notice what the boss's little minions are going to do. They're going to try to run. See? Because we're at the right level for the dungeon. Well, that one decided to stay and fight a little bit. And that should do it. Our boss was killed. I did a little effect there with the sort of lightning and then ending. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy VI, that's how it ends in Final Fantasy VI. And the way we did that is not complicated either. It's just a troop event, but I'll show you real fast. So if we go to our killer rat, which is now the Rat Lord, I changed the name. They have the collapse effect boss, so that does the little like shaking shh. And to get the lightning effect, what I did was there is a battle event where if the enemy HP of the Rat Lord is 0% or lower, Angela says, and that should do it. There's a thunder sound, flashes the screen, does it a second time, and then we turn off the Rat Lord's immortal that we turned on right away. By making the Rat Lord immortal, we can do something at the end, and as soon as the immortal ends, after they're below 0 HP, they die instantly. So it's okay, looks like we're